See, one thing is very important. Unless you dare to dream, you will never be able to execute or succeed. So, having an idea is one major step that kids today should have, and I'm very glad that they have that. Validation is a must. Without validation, no matter what I think as an investor or what you think as an entrepreneur, don't make sense because we might disagree. But what the buyer or person who's paying for it or person who's subscribing to it, they will determine whether this will work or not the investor or the entrepreneur. See, one common mistake that I have seen is that people underestimate their competition. And that time, sometimes they only list out the direct competition on the slides.
Welcome everyone. Today in the next episode of In Conversation with, I am Hardik Patni and we have Mr. Mahavir Sharma with us. He is the chairman of TIE Global Board of Trustees, TIE India Angels and RAIN Rajasthan Angels. He is a serial entrepreneur and a part of a team business and social organizations and exudes passion in angel investing, leadership and mentoring. So welcome sir, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Hardik. How are you?
Yeah, I am also good, sir. Sir, so as you have, like you are the chairman of TI Global and a board member. Sir, so tell us about your journey in short.
So, I have been in international trade and marketing for the last 33 years. I started my career very early, 87, 88. We were traditionally a craft-based business, carpets, jewelry. Then we started to do, I moved to the US for 6 years. So I got a lot of exposure in international trade and marketing, and that's how I continued and came back to India after 94, 95 and started my work. Gradually kept on adding multiple things to my business, added jewelry, branding, marketing, events, dabbled into real estate. Then, TIE came along in 2001, 2002. And when I saw startups growing at the rate that they are growing and I started to look at tech as an option. I not only created tech around my traditional businesses, but again started to invest in 2013, 14 as an angel investor. Played a very active role in Thai, locally or in India or globally, and that's where I am after 18, 19 years in Thai and 6, 7 years of angel investment. Still continuing the traditional businesses, but also angel investing and very active in the startup domain.
Okay, sir. So that's really a great journey because you are there from the starting and now you are heading the organization.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
sir.
an honor and a
Sir, so when you first
go ahead.
started working, did you foresee that this is where you would be?
No, I don't think anyone can foresee. All I
Yeah.
know is that I want to, grow or do things that I love and have passion for, and that's what I've followed as a strength. And whatever makes sense to me, to my mind and to my heart, I start to continue to do that, and that is where I have reached. And I don't know what lies ahead, but I will continue to be enterprising, continue to move in a direction which uses my core abilities and core strengths, and I can add value to my life and career.
Okay. So nowadays many young entrepreneurs like they have an idea but they somewhere don't have that confidence to execute it. So how can a entrepreneur turn himself into an entrepreneur?
See, one thing is very important. Unless you dare to dream, you will never be able to execute or succeed. So, having an idea is one major step that kids today should have, and I'm very glad that they have that. But then, having said that, this is not worthy of much success, because out of every 10,000 people who have an idea, one gets invested or becomes successful. So the odds are against you. So what you need to do is you need to vet the idea. You need to go see how this idea will work. Is there a demand for the idea that you have? Is there enough? Are you worthy of delivering that idea? Do you have enough money or bandwidth to make sure that you can prove a point at a level before you go to other people for funding? So all these, hard questions have to be asked to yourself, or to your senior people, your mentors, your, college faculty members, or friends and family. And or organizations like TIE can very much help with all that, because our mandate is to mentor and help, reaching out to these people to get an idea, and then start to move in a direction that works for everyone, and everyone says might work, or you think you can make it work.
So like the steps are like first you have to brainstorm, then you go to the ideation phase, and then you validate. So many ideas are like just dispersed when they are at a stage of validation. So how can a person validate the idea by himself, or to whom by asking it can be validated?
So validation in the market is a third party validation is very, very critical. And for that, you really have to put yourselves in the shoes of the customer, shoes of the developer, and that's how it goes forward. So I personally feel that, and then you have to go out in the market and see the POC and the validation of the idea. So it's very, very critical. I mean, there's no shortcut to this. Validation is a must. Without validation, no matter what I think as an investor or what you think as an entrepreneur, don't make sense, because we might disagree. But what the buyer or person who's paying for it, or person who's subscribing to it, they will determine whether this will work or not the investor or the entrepreneur. So that is the most critical element when it comes to any idea, whether it will work or not work.
Sir, so what do you exactly see like while investing in a startup?
Oh, multiple things. Starting from the team, their strength, their ability to deliver the problem that they are trying to solve, the idea itself, whether it's needed in today's time, the technology that they're using behind the idea, whether it will be able to scale up. If it's a regular business idea where you need to invest more capital, whether in operating cost or capex, if with less investment we can scale up much higher. Is the solution, this market is large enough. It's not just for a certain section of people or certain age group or certain society. Is it has a large market base or possibility of growing? What is the competition in that field? I mean, is this going to be better than the competition? Or if there is no competition, is there an IP possibility, a patent possibility or not? How much tenacity does the team have? So all of these things are checked out. And then if it's right value or not, I mean, everything might be well, but if the team is asking for a very high valuation, then it might not work. Or if there are, if we can't support a follow-on round, then also, it becomes very, very sensitive or critical for us. So all these things are looked at when we do a diligence kind of a thing.
Okay. So, so what are the key elements to a proper pitch or pitch deck?
So the proper pitch deck has multiple elements. First and foremost, the first 2-3 slides should be your strongest points. If your team is the strongest point, if your idea is the strongest point, if your solution is the strongest point, if there's an IP or a patent that you have, that is the strongest point, or if you have been in business for 1 year, 2 years, and traction and growth in numbers is your strongest points, or the revenue is your strongest point, or profitability, gross profit is, so whatever is the strongest point should be highlighted in the first 2-3 slides, because that will tell me that, that's exceptional, I want to see more. And then the next 5, 6, 7 slides should be basically the generic stuff that you need, competition, what is your unit economics, what have you done so far, current traction, what is the roadmap, how do you intend to grow, and so on and so forth. And the last couple of slides really have to leave me with a desire to ask more questions, to probe further, to see if this can work. And those are the things that are required in a pitch deck.
Okay. Um, what are the as you know, you have mentored so many startups and you have seen their journey. So what do you think? What is that one mistake which an entrepreneur does on a common basis?
See, one common mistake that I have seen is that people underestimate their competition. And that time, sometimes they only list out the direct competition on the slides. there's so much of indirect competition, other companies which are successful, funded, profitable, that can pivot or get your or acquire your market are also a competition. So you should really look into all of that also. Secondly, you should be realistic in the growth estimates that you project. People over project, assuming so much. That's some other mistake that many people do, because if you over project, then we feel, or if you have a high profit margin, then we feel that why do you need money? I mean, if you're going to make so much money, you should go for a loan, a debt equity where you can make money and return the debt at an interest rather than go for a equity based
Yeah.
investment. Lastly, the market size. Everyone knows the population of India. Everyone knows the age group of 25 to 35. Everyone knows male female ratio. So if there is something that's very generic that everyone will use in a certain age in India, we don't need to be told itne million log hain, itne is age group mein log. It doesn't make sense. If your problem and solution is good, we understand what the market size. Unless you are a very high tech, deep tech, specific market sensitive idea, that's when you have to give us ideas on numbers. That this is that number of so many people wear eyewear. We are going to do so much. Those data that normally people don't have is what is needed. I mean, I just don't like a slide where it says the Indian young population is 40 crores. Even if we get 1%, we will have 40 lakh people as our customers, and 10 rupees per customer, we'll make 4 crores in 1 year. Those numbers don't make sense to me.
Okay. While starting something, you have that instinct, should I go for it or not? So at that time, there is a lot of confusions going on in an entrepreneur's mind. So how we can overcome it?
So confusion is good. The fact that you're doubting your startup or your idea, logically and realistically, it's good. Solutions can be found. I mean, and mentoring is needed. I mean, even before you go to a funder, you should go to organizations like TIE and you should seek mentoring. See what you're doing wrong. See how you can do that thing differently. See how you can resolve or reduce your risk. So all these things are very, very important. Disruption of sorts has to happen, and that disruption has to happen in a win-win kind of a situation. It cannot happen where the investor is the winner, or you are the winner, or your buyer is the winner. It has to work for everyone. So being suspicious of your actions, doubting yourselves, makes you realistic. But at the same time, don't lose your confidence. Be sure of what you're doing because you have thought through it, and modify it, change it, adapt, but continue to grow where you think there is an opportunity.
Okay. Sir, what are your takeaways or views on the current digital marketing trends going on?
So I think, like any other thing, digital marketing is a changing module. AI, ML, embedded, very targeted marketing is very easy to happen. I think that is the future. I think even with this flat screen is going to go, AR, VR will kick in. We will probably in a year or two have, glasses, Google kind of glasses.
Yeah.
We'll have things that are projected, things that are embedded in your devices. I think all these things will be very, very savvy. I think digital marketing has a huge future, and intelligence, analytics, and many new technologies will get evolved. And I think that is a domain that one should be looking at because new innovation needs to happen. And it's a huge market. People are moving away from offline marketing to online marketing, and I think that's going to be very critical.
Okay. So, sir, as you have seen both the stages of marketing, like from the traditional stage to till now this digital marketing stage. So, what do you think will this lead to in future?
I mean, this will, as I said, lead into a future to a very targeted audience. It will not be age group 25 to 35 and bombard it. It will be specific that this person is the right choice because his or her behavior on the phone is being analyzed, how you press your buttons, people you talk, websites that you visit, everything is being recorded. So everything will eventually become very, very targeted. Your choice of conversations, your time on screen, your behavior on screen, your behavior on the phone, your conversations with you know telemarketers, Siri, and other people. Everything is being watched. So I think marketing will become very, very targeted, unlike a very generic or a mass broadcast of SMSs or putting on Facebook ads in a city like Delhi and targeting 10 times more people than you'd need to because your target market is just 10%. So all that will change.
Okay, and what are your views on the growing e-commerce industry?
So e-commerce is again the future. I mean, this pandemic has obviously, e-commerce has saved all of us during this pandemic. Otherwise, there would have been riots for people requiring essential items. I think e-commerce is the future. Right now, essential items. You can see Amazon, everyone doing very well. Whichever company tried to do essential. Now the future, people have realized that they don't have to travel. They don't have to go out and shop in the market. And it is always going to be a risk in the next year or so. So people will now start to look at more online options. I think the online e-commerce market will definitely have a very good future. Cost of customer acquisition will come down, competition will increase, product options will increase, and with intelligent AR/VR devices, you can see things. Wearing these things or trying these things virtually rather than physically, and see a three-dimensional view on a two-dimensional laptop. All these things will change. So I think it has a very good future.
Okay. Sir, as you must be seeing or looking out the startups, do you think like this startup is going to boom in the future?
I mean, we don't invest in any startup that we don't think will boom
Yeah,
or
of
not
course.
boom.
Yeah.
We always are optimistic, but um, the startup world is very dynamic. What we think good today might not work tomorrow. What we think is not working today might work tomorrow. So I think it's a very, very tough journey. Getting your first investment is just the first step. It has a long ways to go. I think every startup, whether investable, not investable, invested or not invested, has a bright future because technology has a bright future. If you're not succeeding in something, even if you're a failed startup, that will tell you what not to do the next time around. And I think that itself is a great experience that money can't buy. And I think the future is secure. So everyone, has a shot at growing, multiple times. And I wish and I hope everyone does, and the economy grows too with it.
Sir, how do you look at the Indian startup ecosystem?
In comparison to the world, we are quite good. I would say that we are much better than many countries that I have visited or have seen startups across the globe. I think India's ability to innovate is very good. We are strongly and firmly translating ourselves from just being a service or a backyard to a front end and a solution provider and innovative country. But we have some distance to go. I think there are some other countries that have a better infrastructure, better tech. They have better access. Countries, China is better, Berlin, Tel Aviv. Some cities, some US. But I think India is fast catching up, and it's become a very, very small world. We can reach out to any market. They can reach out to Indian markets. So India is good. I mean, I would rate it at a top 5, 6 countries across the world, or top 10 for sure.
Okay.
And I'm very positive about India's growth.
Sir, what will be the role of two tier, three tier cities in the in to make the Atmanirbhar Bharat?
See, to make a country self-reliant or Atmanirbhar is not just left to the government or to large corporates. Everyone has a role to play, and I think consumers have a role to play. I think tier 2, tier 3 cities will obviously have a very, very critical role for multiple reasons. Cost of running a business in a tier 2, tier 3 city is lower. HR costs are lower. Real estate and rental or purchase is lower. Technology now, without traveling in the last 4 months, we can access technology from everywhere. We can have calls like this and work from anywhere. So it doesn't matter where my deep tech consultant is sitting. I can always reach out to him over the phone or over a video chat. So I think tier 2, tier 3 with lower overheads, lower investments have a very good future. And I have a very good role to play. And even for the larger corporates or companies, ancillary units or small supply or small parts that we were importing so far, these units will be coming up in tier 2, tier 3, and even tier 4 cities or rural India for that matter.
Okay, sir. So do you think government will provide some assistance to the young budding entrepreneurs?
See, government has provided enough support. Their Startup India program is really good. Their fact that they are trying to, ease the way of doing business is also, praiseworthy. I don't think as entrepreneurs we should look for funding or grants because it defeats the purpose of being an entrepreneur. If we have to
Yeah.
depend on government subsidies or grants, we are not capable enough to fight on our own or stand on our own feet. So I'm not a professor of grants and subsidies. I would rather get good infrastructure, simple policies in place and execution, and low interest rate capital for people who want debt. Otherwise, the Indian equity investment market is very robust, and more people are becoming angel investors and investing. So I think that all is in place, and I think collaboratively with the government, with organizations like ours, and an ecosystem like India, we should be able to grow and much further than what anyone can imagine.
Okay, sir. Tell us about your one setback, and after that you recovered it again.
So setbacks are a regular thing in life. I've done so many things in my life and have failed in many. I have not invested in many companies thinking that they were not worth investment, and they have gone and succeeded. I mean, there's a long list of setbacks, and every setback is a learning, and I learn from it and move on. I don't regret any decision that I have taken. But still, shutting down a business because it doesn't work well, or you're not able to run it well, or the times have changed, is always a great entrepreneur's best decision that he can take. I think if there were no setbacks, then we would not be grounded, we would not be humane, we would not move with caution, and we would become reckless and ruthless.